Today, I'm going to take you with me into a custom shower door project, and I'm going to show you how I shoot using the Osmo Pocket 3, and then we're going to edit this footage together. So stay tuned, and I'm going to try to shoot some behind the scenes, and I'm going to show you exactly how I put together my short clips for the purpose of social media marketing. Now, I have made a decision that I'm going to film or edit this in a square profile because square looks really good on Facebook, and it looks really good on Instagram. It looks really good on LinkedIn, and those are the platforms where I have the most success. I feel like vertical content is really best for those platforms as well, but vertical content is like more for TikTok, right? TikTok doesn't accept anything but vertical, and I don't really like TikTok anyway. So I am going to shoot everything in landscape so that I can edit everything to be in square format. Today I'm going to try something different. Rather than shooting everything, all of my gimbal shots anyway, at 24 frames per second, I'm going to shoot at 60 frames per second and 120 shutter speed, so that I can slow it down 40% in post, and I hope that this will make my gimbal shots a little smoother. So I've been trying to do really smooth gimbal shots with these videos, and I saw a tip from the car creative that you should shoot in a faster frame rate so you can slow it down, and that slow down will kind of remove the I have a tendency to sway like this when I'm shooting, and also I haven't quite mastered the ninja walk, and also the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is just so light that it's hard to keep that thing stable. So I'm going to try to slow it down today, and I'm going to try to make my movements a little bit faster, knowing that I'm going to slow it down in post, and then I'm just going to choose the cream of the crop, and I'll take you into the editing software and I will show you exactly how I do that. And by the way, I am using ND filter. It's the lightest one. I also have a CPL filter to kind of help with the reflections on glass, just to help the glass look a little bit better. And for as far as exposure, I'm going to shoot in manual standard color profile, and I'm going to be shooting, of course, at 60 frames per second, the shutter speed 1/120th, so that it's double the frame rate, so that I still have cinematic motion blur even when I slow it down 40% to be edited on a 24 frame per second video. Now, I did set my ISO to be a range between 60 and 800, so that I'm not having to make micro adjustments every time I change facing a window or not facing a window. And I do have my white balance set to auto. Now, previously I was trying to set my ISO and my white balance for every shoot, and I find that it's just too difficult to keep changing those things when you're changing up different angles, and you end up with some footage that maybe you're not happy with. So I feel like with the Osmo Pocket 3, it's all about convenience, and I feel like it's convenient to let the Osmo decide on the ISO within a range and just take total control over the white balance. I feel like I'm going to sacrifice a potential shift in white balance over not getting a good shot at all. So here we go. Okay guys, I got my footage off my Osmo Pocket 3. I already put it into the files that I'm going to be using, and if you would like to find out how I did that, you can check out this video right here, or maybe it's there. But anyways, I go over in detail exactly how I transfer my files and get them onto my machine. So first things first, let's go ahead and open up Capcut, and I'm just gonna pretend like I'm not being recorded. I'm gonna try to speak out loud and explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the create new project button. And first thing I'm gonna do is go to modify and make sure that I'm in 24 frames per second. I'm gonna change the aspect ratio to 1:1. I'm gonna leave it at standard Rec 709. I'm gonna leave the arrange layers turned on so that I can insert things in between the layers down the line. And I'm going to go ahead and name this so I can remember what it is. So I'm going to call it BCH for Best Custom Homes Gray Steam Shower. Now let's go ahead and go to import. And before I started, I recorded everything to be like a almost all the clips are going to be in slow motion, more or less. So I went and found some music that I thought would look really cool with the slow motion. I downloaded my music from Epidemic Sound, and I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check it out. I'm not sponsored. I'm not interested in looking for sponsorships. I'm simply just trying to bring value to you any way that I can. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and import this Confident track. So it appears right here in my preview window. I'm going to go ahead and push the tab button and just going to push play and listen to that for a bit. So you'll see that this track is peaking over here in this waveform. Let me turn that down. So I'm just going to churn that down until it's not peaking anymore. And I'm just going to jump around. I'm only going to make this this short is going to be 60 seconds max. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and start it here. So I'm going to highlight the track. I'm going to push Q, and it's just going to leave just this little bit. Usually when I make these tracks for the Barren Glass Instagram, I like to start off with pictures and just something for people to see at first, so that hopefully it grabs their attention and makes them push play. I find that when I do my talking headshots, and it's just if you see this right here, right, you see my face is the first thing, people are less likely to click on it. So sometimes I forget that people don't give a fuck about me. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go to import, and I'm going to go to this A6700. So I did also, in addition to recording with my Osmo Pocket 3, I did take some photographs with my A6700 in RAW, edited those in Lightrooms, and I found the best ones. And so before I even got started, again, I have everything already into a folder so I can come and grab it as I need it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this A6700. I think I'm only going to select, you know what, I'm just going to select all of them and import those. So I like to start my videos off with like some flash pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe start with something interesting. Push the plus button, and I got to resize that so that it fits the square. Okay, so that's a very interesting picture. Like someone who doesn't install glass or do shower doors for a living isn't going to know what this is, and they're going to be immediately interested by this picture, hopefully. I'm going to zoom in so I can see each individual second. Move to this picture, and I'm going to bring that down so that it's another half second. Oh, almost forgot. Before I even do that, I'm going to click this track down below. I'm going to come over here to this AI, and I'm going to mark the beats. So I do this every time I'm doing one of these videos that doesn't have a talking voice. And what I do here is I just do the beats, mark 1 and mark 2, and I just see which one makes sense. So as you see, when I put the beats mark 2, it's marking a lot of beats. And I know that each one of my tracks are going to be pretty long. So what I think I might do is just leave this mark beats 2 on, just so that I can essentially just edit these short picture clips to just be one of the smaller beats. So again, I'm just going to resize that so that it fills the frame of the square aspect ratio. So let's go ahead and import that guy. And this one, I think I want this to be a little bit longer because I want to put floating hardware above this picture so that it looks pretty dope. It's something I haven't done yet, and it's all about trying new things. And this is not client work, so this is for the company I work for, and I pretty much can do whatever I want, and I do what I think looks cool. So it's just a good way for me to experiment and see what works and what doesn't. And when you make your videos, you can do whatever you want, and then you can have this in your back pocket for when you do client work. You can show them some examples of some ideas that you have, because when you do client work, they kind of lean on you to help them with the creativity side. So what I want is for the video to start as soon as the music kicks up. So just these still pictures, just for a few seconds in the beginning of the video is how I want it to start. And then as soon as the beat kicks in, that's when I want the motion of the video to basically kick in. So now that I did this, I'm gonna just come over here and just keep adjusting this until it looks good with the pictures that I have. Okay, I think I like that. All right, so let's resize this so it's a beat, resize this so it's a beat, and this one I'll drag to the beat. So now that I've done that, these are basically locked into the first part of the beat. And so what I want to do is I took some green screen shots of each piece of hardware, and I want the hardware to be floating on top of this picture with arrows pointing where it goes on the glass. I think that'd be really cool. So going for it. So I'm going to come back into my folder. Capcut is going to remember the last place that I was at. So I'm going to come over here to the OP3, and I'm going to go all the way down And I can see in these little thumbnails where I have the green screen shots. So I'm just going to get shots of each piece of hardware, and we don't need this entire thing. I do want it to spin pretty quick, so I'm just going to drag and drop this right over top. And then I'm going to come to this little crop button right here, and I'm going to go ahead and resize that so that it removes this product spinner that I have this handle sitting on. And then I'm going to drag the left and right in to delete the rest of the frame that's not inside the green screen. Hit confirm. I'm going to go ahead and resize that. And then I'm going to go to this remove background, and I'm going to go to chroma key, and I'm going to select the green color. And then I always clean up the edge. That just makes, like, you see how the handle is kind of green right there? Some of the green light is reflecting on the black handle. So when I go to clean up edge, it kind of removes that for me, which is really nice. Now always feather the edge just a bit. And that does it right there. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to do it at times 2 and see how that looks. I think that's a little too slow. Let's go back to speed and go to times 5. Yeah, I think that feels right here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my playhead to match the end of the track or the still below it. I'm going to select this top track. I'm going to hit the letter W so it deletes the rest of that. And what that does is it just leaves this floating handle shot right here in my frame, which is what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and insert each piece of hardware doing exactly the same thing. And I'll fast forward this part so you don't have to hopefully not get bored. I'm probably boring the shit out of you right now, but I'm trying my hardest not to. So here we go. Okay, so I removed the background from all my products and I inserted them over the top of this still just like I wanted. And I thought it would be cool if they were kind of just floating in space in random locations, but still not taking away from the still that's behind it. And I think this looks pretty sweet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to animate these guys. So I'm just going to select the first one and I'm going to go to animation. I'm going to go to in, and I think this would look cool if it flew in from, let's try to left. Flew in from the left. And then I'm going to go to this handle and select the same thing, slide left. And then I'm going to come to this hinge and I'm going to select slide right. And I'm going to come to this clamp and I'm going to select slide right. So it's like they all fly in from the outside, if you will. Now for the animation out, I'm not even sure I want an animation out. I think it's cool if they just all fly in and rotate. And then boom, then the motion starts right after that. I think that's pretty sweet. So now that I have those exactly where I want them, what I can do is just select all 3 of these tracks right here. So they're highlighted, right click, and go ahead and create a compound clip so that I can see more of my timeline. And I think I like the way that these are all positioned. Okay, I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a compound clip with all of these. And this is like, that part of it is done. So now I can start stacking the rest of my video on to the movie, and that will not impede my progress. So I'm going to go ahead and select this guy right here, select the AI, and I'm only going to select Beats Mark 1. And you can see that it gets rid of all those smaller beats. And this way I know that the rest of my video clips are going to be 1 or 2 of these longer clips, if you will. So let's go ahead and start to import. So I'm just going to scrub through my footage. I do have some talking head stuff that I'm not going to use for this video because I bring up all the companies that had something to do with the hardware, the glass, the software, and I don't want to get copyrighted. So I'm just going to only do the cinematic edit for today. So there's one clip in particular where I kind of come around the corner. That's what I'm looking for as an opener. And this is how I like to edit my footage, by the way. Instead of bringing everything into Capcut and having it all basically right here in this player window, I just bring it in one clip at a time. I feel like this helps, especially if you're filming talking head stuff and you have 2 cameras or A-roll and B-roll. They're all time-stamped, so I can just bring in one clip from this camera and one clip from that camera at a time, and just kind of helps me keep track. But for this, I'm just going to bring in just the clips that I need one at a time. So I like this one. I'm going to import it. I'm going to hit the I as it comes around the corner. Looks like I did it multiple times. So I'm going to see if the second attempt was better. I as it comes around the corner. Oh, okay. I think that was pretty good. Looks like I did it one final time. Let's see if that's any better. No, I still like this one in the center. So let's go ahead and drag that and drop it. I'm going to go ahead and select it. I'm going to go to speed, and I'm going to push down on this button and reduce that speed to 40%. Now, this is important because you don't want your footage to look choppy. So I recorded, if you recall, I recorded all this in 60 frames per second at 1/120th per second, so that when I slow it down, I'll still have that cinematic motion blur and it won't be choppy. So all this is in 24 frames per second, and 24 frames per second is 40% of 60 frames per second. So that's how the math works out. I think if you take 24 and divide it by 60, or vice versa, you should end up with 0.6 or 0.4. So it's essentially 40% slow. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but here we go. All right, so I think I'm going to trim it right when the wall disappears. So I can just move my player window, and I can see on the left side of my screen, right when that disappears, I'm going to select the track. I'm going to hit W to trim the back end off. And this is kind of way too long already. So what I think I'm going to do is give it a speed ramp and see how that goes. So I'll go ahead and select that and go to speed, curve. I'm going to flash in and see how that looks. And I think I like that. So I'm going to move my player to this side. I'm going to select the track and stretch it till it meets that line. Yeah, that was pretty cool. One thing I don't like is that when this track ends, the shower door isn't centered of the frame. So this is the advantage of filming in landscape when you're creating a square video, is that you see more of it. If I would have recorded this in portrait, then I would have lost like another quarter off each end of my frame. But since I recorded in landscape, I have flexibility to just select that track and just drag it over a touch so that my end shot is center frame right where I want it. Okay, on to the next track. So let's go to import, and I'm just going to scrub through and just try to find something different. I don't really have like a specific order I want to go in. One thing I am trying to do is, if I have a clip that's moving to the right, the next clip should be moving in a different direction, any direction, it doesn't matter. So I try not to have two clips that are moving in the same direction consecutively. So I'm just going to go and pick ones that I think look cool. Let's go ahead and import that. Again, I'm just going to drag and drop it. I'm going to select it, go to speed, and I'm going to go to standard. I'm going to drop that down to 40% and just see how that looks. It's a little out of focus there, but right when it gains focus. Let's try that. So I'll select it, hit Q, and I still don't like it. So maybe right there. Let's try that. I'm going to select it, hit Q. The magnetic timeline is going to drag it to the end of the previous clip. Okay, I think I like that. So you see where my beat markers are? So the hinge starts at the top of the frame, and as I get to the next beat marker, it's at the bottom of the frame almost perfectly. So that's kind of what I'm after, is like symmetry in motion, I guess, where if I'm recording this hinge, for example, you see how the bottom part of the hinge is showing in the frame. And by the time I get to the next beat marker, the top of the hinge is more or less on the top of the frame. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and hit W. I'm going to select the track, and I'm going to resize it so it fits the square frame. And I'm just going to make sure that hinge is centered of the square frame. Oh, and one more thing, guys. I'm going to select these tracks, and I'm going to remove the audio as I edit, because I don't want any audio from the original clips playing, other than the only audio that I want is my music track that I spent so much time selecting, and the sound effects I'm going to put in as soon as we're done here. So now I'm just going to repeat this process until all of my clips are in a fashion that I want them in. And then I'm going to move on to transitions and sound effects. Now, one thing about transitions is that you don't want to overdo it. It's really easy to do. You just want to be very subtle. So I'm just going to do my best to only put it where I feel like they enhance the movement instead of distract from the movement. Oh man, this is probably the hardest part, because you feel like you love all the clips that you took, but you can't possibly use them all. You just have to pick the best ones. So it's almost like if you have kids, it's like, who's your favorite? I only have one kid, so I don't have that problem, but I that's how I feel right now. Okay, so I think this is a good opportunity to add a transition. Transitions. Oh, I actually wanted up. I always get that confused, up and down. And I always get it exactly wrong every time. So I like this up. it kind of adds to the motion that already exists inside of the next frame. Yep, that's the one. Let's drop it in there. It's very subtle, but it's nice. And then one more transition here. Pull out. Yep, love it. So it just adds to the motion that already exists. That's the key to transitions. Maybe one more here. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that if we slow it way down. Oh yeah, you see that? How it's moving that way, and then in transition helps the two frames blend together, and then when it lands on this frame, it's matching the motion that exists there. Boom, that's it. I'm not going to do any end cards. I'm just going to end the video right there. Boom. Now all that's left is sound effects. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here, and I'm going to uncompound this clip at the beginning, and I'm just going to add some kind of a whoosh sound when this hardware flies in. So right there is good. Let's go to audio, sound effects. I have my favorites. I use the same whoosh over and over, so I probably have it right here in my favorites. That's another good thing about Capcut is you can save your favorites, and you can use these sound effects that they have built in. So I'm going to go ahead and push the plus. I'm going to move this music track down below. I'm going to lower the volume on this whoosh, and I'm just going to try to put it right there and just listen to it and see how it sounds. And I think I'll add another warp sound right here, just because there's like a transition there. It's not a transition per se, but just the motion starts really fast here, so it may as well be a transition. So I'm just going to drop that down a bit and slide it over and just play it and see how it sounds. Yeah, maybe I'll bring it over just a touch and bring the volume up just a touch. Okay. The rest of this I'm going to leave alone, and I'm just going to come back over here to where the transitions are. So for this one, I think I'm going to do the long whoosh. Yep, right there. Bring that volume up just a touch, just slide it over. I'm doing the long whoosh because the transition starts the motion fast, and the next clip has fast motion as it comes down. So it's like the whoosh, the long whoosh sound is like following the fast motion, and then right when it slows down, hopefully it dies down. So let's just play that through. Kind of sounded like a Jackie Chan movie. All right, you know what? I think I'm going to do the Bearing Glass logo after all. So let's go ahead and go to import. I'm done with all my video, music, sound effects. Now I just got to find the logo for Bearing Glass, BG logo. This is the logo that we had already, and I just imported it into Canva. I added a cool circle around it, and I exported it as a PNG file with the background transparent, so that I have it saved in a file, so that when I drop it here, right, I can have it in my video, and you can see the video behind it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just drag this out, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this music track out to match it. And I'm just going to add some stock footage at the end. I've been doing like space lately, and I don't know. I just think it looks cool. I can't get enough of it. Let's go to stock material, space. This one. Oh, that one's pretty sweet. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Let's trade that one in there. And this one has a lot of motion. I'm going to clip out just the front part. Of course, I got to resize it to fit the square frame. I'm going to go ahead and trim the end off. I'm just going to resize this logo so it's not obnoxious, but you can still see it very clearly. All right, so on this one, I think I'm going to do an animation. Okay, I think I'm going to have some fun here with some keyframes. So I got my animation, which is good, but I think I'm also going to add a keyframe and kind of make this logo smaller, so it has an impression that it's going backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and select this track, hit a keyframe, and then I'm going to go all the way to the end, and I'm just going to simply drag it down like that. So it should be getting smaller. So black hole in, and then it starts disappearing. Oh yeah, that is it. All right, I think I'm going to do another sound effect, something to signify motion. Yeah, that's good enough. Let's drop it in there. I'm going to go ahead and fade it out. That is it. It is all done. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to the export button. I'm going to be exporting this for Facebook, LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and export this as a 4K file. A tip, if you're going to export videos to LinkedIn, you really should be exporting in 1080p or 2K because LinkedIn does not like 4K. But I'm not going to export this to LinkedIn. I'm going to export this to the other platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and export it. Whew, man, that was a lot. I'm showing 57 minutes on my timer. That's how long I've been editing and talking at the same time. Took a little bit out of me because usually I'm not talking at the same time. So hopefully you found some value in there. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the final product. And I hope you learned something. And it's super simple and super easy to make videos just like this about any subject matter that you want. Could be cars, real estate, people, places, food. All of these same principles apply. And here is the final product. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.